Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. We are back live with another episode of Chit Chat Podcast. And look, I'm so excited about today's topic. So I want you guys to come on, check in. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. So today, I know you probably, if you in our Chit Chat Podcast group, you've already seen the flyer. So we're talking about celebrating celibacy today. And so we're going to dive into that conversation here in a bit. But how's everybody doing? Look, summer is winding down. Kids are headed back to school. Vacation times are settling down. People are adjusting back to the end of summer and all of that. So, look, I need you guys to get adjusted back to getting in the groove of Sunday Lives at 5 with Chit Chat Podcast. And look, we're going to be back rolling into football season here pretty soon, too. High school football, NFL football, college football, all of that. So all of us football fanatics, we're going to be back with our happy, smiling faces back here pretty soon as well with that. So y'all know, because I was a football mom, the football life in me still did not die away. I still love it. And so I have an NFL team that I support. And then now that my friend's son plays college football, I'm going to be supporting him as well. So I'll be taking part in some of those games as well. So, but yeah, now that my son is gone on from college and from the football life, but nevertheless, I want to say to all the kids that are headed back to school, have a blessed, safe, and prosperous school year. We pray that you guys will continue to excel in every area of your school and the things that you need to do in school. We pray that your teacher, and you are successful. We pray that parents are leading and guiding and praying over you every day before you head out so that you're protected as well as being successfully set up to have a successful day as well as a successful school year. So we wish that for all of our listening audience. If you got kids, grandkids, godkids, whatever the case may be, we wish that for all of you guys as you're headed back for school. And then those of you who are headed to college, this is a transitional year as well. So, high school to college is a transitional year. So we want to wish you guys a successful year transitioning from from high school to college. So, and we pray that you guys have a successful year as well. Please let us know if there's anything that we can do to help you in your transition in during that time, because we know how important it is and how big of an adjustment it is from high school to college. And we have so many successful young adults in our listening audience, as well as adults who can definitely help you in that area to make sure that you're set up for success for that. So without further ado, Jada, make sure you go to my page and share, because I can't flip it over from my live during this moment. So go to my page and share it from my page, please. However, we're going to go into our topic of discussion today, celebrating celibacy. And our subtopic is choosing me, my peace, and my purpose. And that says a whole lot. We know that this is a deep conversation, a conversation not only just for women today, even though this is a women's platform, but this conversation is for everybody. A lot of conversations like this are normally happening in private, but sometimes these conversations need to be made in an atmosphere like this. And we need to have the courage to say these things and have these kind of conversations out loud. And so today, this platform chose to do that. So today's conversation is going to be a little different than what we normally have talked about. And that's okay, because sometimes we have to do something a little different. And sometimes we have to make ourselves uncomfortable or have those uncomfortable conversations. So that way we are able to make sure that we're putting ourselves in situations that we can better ourselves and be the best version of ourselves. So today's conversation is going to be a little different, but we're talking about something that can deeply be personal and sometimes misunderstood. and definitely comes with a lot of opinions. So we know that everybody's going to have opinions and difference of opinions. So we ask that you respect everybody's difference of opinions. And if there's anything that you want to share of your opinion or whatever, we ask that you place it in the comments. Jada, make sure she highlights that. And we'll definitely share it in your comment once it's highlighted. But we're talking today about celibacy. And before anybody gets all nervous and stuff, this isn't a conversation about judging anybody and anybody's choices. Celibacy is a choice. It's about being intentional about our bodies, about our heart, about our energy. I'm reading off my notes, y'all, because I don't want to miss nothing. I wrote a lot of notes down for this. It's about your heart, your energy, your time, and your future. Because sometimes we get caught up with saying we want to choose ourselves, and that means a lot. It means something, right? And so I'm not just available for for people anymore having access to me. I need to make sure I'm not available for what no longer aligns with me. So I have to prioritize the things that are important to me. And sometimes those things includes the things that I've been partaking that I no longer need to partake in. And sometimes that includes sex. So we're going to set the tone today. And let me say this right here from the beginning. Celibacy isn't about being better than someone who is sexually active. So it isn't about slamming or shaming people who are, isn't about pretending that you don't have desires. And it certainly isn't about waiting around for someone to save you. For some women, celibacy is a spiritual decision. For others, it's about healing. For some, it's even about breaking patterns. For others, it simply means I want to experience myself without constantly having another person attached to my identity. And whatever the reason, your choice deserves to be respected. So that's why we're going to have this conversation today. So why did you choose celibacy? If you're out there and you said, I'm celibate, I'm practicing celibacy now, or I'm practicing abstinence now, why did you choose that? So what made you choose that? So if you're in our audience and you're listening to the podcast right now, let's start right there. If you ever practice celibacy, you know, before, even if you're not active right now, if you practice it before or abstinence before, and are you currently practicing now, what made you choose it? A lot of people choose it for different reasons. So, was it heartbreak? Was it something you was going through? Was it healing? Was it something spirituality? Was it realizing that you were giving too much of yourself to somebody or to people who weren't giving you anything meaningful in return? What was it that made you choose it? Or did you simply just reach a point where you said, you know what? I want something different for myself. So if you're listening, if you're not, if you don't want to share, that's okay. Because I know a lot of people are probably not comfortable. But I think to share my point of view, I'm practicing abstinence right now. And my, there's a different, people say abstinence or celibacy. Celibacy, we're going to go into the difference. I'm going to tell you the difference in a minute. So, well, I'll go into the difference in a minute. If you know that you have practiced abstinence or celibacy and you want to put it in the comments, put it in the comments and we're going to go through it. But here's my take on it. So, y'all know I have shared before about going through my healing journey. And so based off my healing journey, and going through my therapy and the things that I notice from what I've learned from everything that I went through, the betrayal, the lies, the things on my part, all of that. And so, um, what I realized was there were patterns, and there were red flags that I was painting white because I was putting too much effort in trying to give benefit of the doubt to people and things that didn't have the potential or the capacity to to give or to do what was expected in return. And so what eventually happened, um, caused a whole lot of heartbreak and betrayal and deception and all of that. And so and and I've always been a spiritual person, so it's always heartbreaking for me because you find yourself, when you're a spiritual person, you find yourself back at that place where you're in a place of repentance. So you're in a place where you're saying, God, forgive me, because here I am once again in this place of repentance because I don't find myself giving and thinking, this was it. This was it. This was this was the moment. This was the person or whatever. And then it wasn't. And so you're giving and serving and doing, and then it's not. And then so you find yourself in a place of repentance. Well, to me, I got tired of that. I got tired of saying, I'm tired of going back to God over and over again in the same situations because of patterns that are repeatedly happening when I know doggone well that, God is probably saying, girl, now you knew better, kind of thing. But instead of me repeating those cycles, I had to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so that's the place I was in. So I said, I am not going to provide myself or avail myself in a place of intimacy with anyone again until that person is my husband. And so, and it does not have anything to do with what I've done in the past. It has not have anything to do with, past relationships or anything of that nature. Now, do we is it a struggle? Is it hard? Is it things that we go through that we feel like, oh my God, yes, absolutely. But if you are serious about it, and especially if you are a believer, if you are serious about God's business, He's gonna make sure. The Bible says that He will give you a way of escape. So if you're tempted in ways of places, He will give you a way of escape. So now I'm not positioning myself or putting myself in positions of, I've been enjoying this healing journey. So before, it used to be those tricks of, hey, let's go on this trip. I just booked us this trip kind of thing. Now I can book my own trip. I can, which I could have did that before, but it was the pleasantries of having that with somebody else. But now that I've gone through this healing phase in this process, knowing that I can enjoy life by myself. I've gone to enjoy dinner for one by myself. I've gone on trips and cruises and different places, enjoying those vacations and trips by myself and enjoying me. And God has given me the opportunity to love on me. So it's not a problem now when I'm tempted with somebody saying, hey, you want to go on this trip or you want to go to such and such? It's an easy no for me. It's not, I'm not tripping. I don't have to contemplate it. I don't have to think about it or whatever, because I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm back, asking God for forgiveness because I'm back at square one. So yeah, so it's an easy no for me because I can take myself on a trip now. I can take myself in these places. I can do these things, and I can be at these places or whatever. And so um and and because of that, I'm not sitting there contemplating or willing to deal going over it in my head. Oh, it would be nice to go such and such. But And let me tell you this, every trip that I have gone on solo, I have met people, and it's almost been like I haven't even been on a trip by myself, because I've met people and hung out with the people that I met on the trip, and it's almost like I'm not even there by myself, because I mean, I'm a people's person anyway, so everybody knows me, that that's my personality. So I don't meet strangers, but every time I've gone on a trip, it's almost like I'm not even there by myself, because I've always met people on every trip. And, and I'm never alone. They always like, come go to dinner with us, or come do this with us, or whatever. So I'll never end up being by myself, because, and I'm telling you, I feel like it's a God thing. I feel like God is just showing me, like, you're not on this journey by yourself, because he wants me to embrace this time, this period of loving on me and enjoying me, and being this time to enjoy this wholesome time of being whole and being one with me and being one with him, and all of that. So that way I'm not falling and giving in to temptation, and giving in to needing somebody to go on a trip with me, or needing somebody to go to dinner with me, or needing somebody to rub my feet, or all those kind of things. And I'm just being real with y'all, because I know those are the things that a lot of us struggle with, when we be like, well, that's easy for you to say, because you got muscles in your bed. But yeah, but at the same time, I got peace of mind. I got clarity. you know, I nobody's lying to me. Nobody's being deceptive behind my back. Nobody's deceiving me. Nobody's betraying me. So I got peace. And so all those things are important. And so when you talk about that, it cuts those ties of those things that attaches itself to you when you're attaching to other people, and it challenges you when you're dealing with things and situations that are attached to those people. So I want to challenge you with this conversation. People often assume that if a woman isn't sexually active, um, she must be lonely. And but let's ask the bigger question: can you be sexually active and still be lonely? Because I know plenty of people. I know I have friends who are married. I know friends who are single and have companions, and they are, I'm sure very intimate and involved in that way, and they feel lonely, you know. And some people look at my life and they be like, "Girl, I be living through your life because you be out doing living life," kind of thing. And sometimes I have moments where I be like, well, gosh, maybe it's time for me to settle down. Maybe it's time for me to do, but I'm enjoying this moment. I'm enjoying loving me, because I've never had it. I've never had it because I've been such a giver. I've been such a giver, giving and serving and doing, you know, been given my whole life, giving, serving, doing, working, taking care of the kids, serving in church, doing, always giving, always, volunteering, providing, all that, and I want to sit back and just relax and enjoy. That's why when I decided, when I had the talk with my kids about the retirement part, a lot of, when I was talking to other people, they was like, girl, you still young. Why you want to retire now? All that. I knew those weren't my people to talk to, because at the end of the day, they didn't realize, they weren't working for Homeland Security. So they didn't realize the magnitude of the stress and the level of stress and the different things that came with that job, and the things that came with my job. And so, and the people that work in those jobs. And so I was just like, those are not my people, because they're not understanding. And my peace and my mental wellness and my mental health is more important than that paycheck. And so when I talked to my kids about it, one of the main things they said to me was when my son, he was on an internship last year. So I went to visit him during his internship time, and we was out on the beach. And I was like, what do you think about if I, decide to do this next year? And he was like, Mom, you don't serve your country. You don't took care of us. You don't sacrifice a whole lot for me and Jada. He was like, Mom, go live your life. He was like, go enjoy your life while you can and go live your life. When he said that to me, I swear to y'all, I felt like every load that I had on my shoulder just went to that ocean and just dumped in that ocean, because it was just like a peace just came over me. And when I left off that trip and flew back to DC, from LA to DC, and finished that leadership program and graduated from the leadership program, I submitted my paperwork. I mean, with no doubt, no second guessing, no nothing, because I had clarity. And so a lot of things we can't have clarity about because there's so many things tied to us that would cloud our judgment. And one of those things is sex. One of those things is being attached to people, because it's not always just about the sex. It's about the people that we are attached to having sex with. Because a lot of times, we are being intimate with that person, but that person is tied to people that they don't get intimate with. And so those are ties that they are attached to. And then you talking about ties that you've been attached to. And so if those ties are all connected, and then you wonder why you're dealing with what you're dealing with, why you're going through what you're going through, they're going through, and all these kind of things. It's because of all of that. And when you're intimate with people, and when you're and especially if there's intimacy going on and involved, and people are not being honest and sleeping outside of just that person, and they're involving other people. So now there's other people attached to that person, as well as whoever they're involved with as well. And so now you got all of this clouding your judgment, your clarity, your peace, your mental health, your physical health, your mind, your physical body, your health, your well-being, all of that stuff. And that's important. And so it don't matter about being lonely. Sometimes it's about what's important. And so you got to decide as a person what is important to you. Celibacy versus loneliness. Is it important for me to be celibate, or to, versus being lonely? Can I deal with being lonely? Or, do I have to, can I work on the issues, pull myself back from the things that I have been attached to work on myself and to deal with the things that I need to deal with to be a better version of me, so that way I can have peace, I can have clarity, I can make better decisions. So I'm not repeating same cycles. I'm not on a hamster wheel. So those are the things that we have to make sure that we can answer those bigger questions about. So, so maybe celibacy isn't about being alone. Maybe sometimes it's about learning how to be whole without someone else validating your worth. And I think that's important because, knowing who you are without somebody attached to you is vital. I am who I am, whether I have a Mr. or not. I am a queen, whether I have a king or not. I am a wife, whether I have a husband or not, because I know who I am. I'm a wife, whether if my ex decided he wanted to marry me or not. It still doesn't change who I am. I'm still a wife. I was a wife before him. So at the end of the day, a person does not validate your worth. Only you and God do that. And you have to do that through God. He created you. So maybe sometimes it's about learning how to be whole without someone else validating your worth. So I'm going to pose this question to you. What's the difference with being alone and being lonely? Because a lot of times we like, I just want to be alone. And then, most people think being alone means you're like being single means you're lonely. Like I'm single, but I'm not lonely. I'm single, but I'm enjoying life. I'm single, and if I want to pick up and go on vacation, if I want to go out the country, if I want to do what I want to do, I could do it. God has blessed me with a career, with a military career, with a civilian career, with an opportunity, with businesses now, with opportunities now that whatever I want to do, I can do it on my own, whether I have a husband or not. So, you know, me being single does not make me lonely. I might be alone, but it does not make me lonely. I can always bring a plus one somewhere if I wanted to go to an event I can always bring a plus one. And me being single doesn't mean that I can't date. I can go on a date. If I want to go to dinner with somebody or to a movie or to an event with somebody, I can still do that. It does not make me attach myself to that person because of that. Just because we went on a dinner date, it does not attach me to that person. So there is a difference. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And if you have ever mistaken the two, you need to know the difference. You need to know the difference. All right, so we're going to move on. So healing after heartbreak. So this is where a lot of people start their abstinence or celibacy with, healing after heartbreak. So we're going to talk about it. A lot of times it happened with women more so than men. But I'm seeing a lot of men saying that. I'm in a lot of groups and stuff where a lot of men are saying that they're choosing celibacy after a breakup or after a marriage or after a divorce or whatever. And that's important because sometimes we have to pull ourselves back away from the very thing that has pulled us into a lot of situations. Because I'm telling you, it clouds your judgment. So maybe you have gave somebody access to your body or your emotions, your home, your finances, or your dreams. And somehow you ended up losing yourself in the relationship. So that person decides, before I give myself to another person, I'm going to get reacquainted with myself. And that's powerful. So healing after heartbreak is when somebody says, before I give myself to another person, I'm going to get reacquainted with myself. You're going to take the time and say, I'm going to get reacquainted with myself. I'm going to find out, do I really love me before I decide if I'm capable of loving these people? Because I'm out here giving out all this love and I'm all doing all this giving and I'm not getting it back in return. So before I give myself to another person, I'm going to get reacquainted with me. What is it that I want? What is it that I'm looking for? What is it that I'm missing? Because I keep finding myself in these repeated patterns. So you got to ask yourself, you got to have these conversations with yourself. Because if you're not having these conversations with yourself, you'll fall easily off of abstinence or celibacy, phase quickly, just because, somebody smelled good, looked good, or somebody invited you on a trip or to a dinner and a movie or whatever the case may be. And they caught you in a vulnerable situation. You came right out of after a heartbreak, you felt like, oh, they came right. They was what I needed right after a heartbreak. And what you probably needed was not another relationship, but some time to get reacquainted with yourself. Because healing isn't always about finding somebody new. It's about, it means becoming comfortable with your own company. And that's what I had to learn. I am okay with being by myself. I've been divorced since 2010, and it's 2026. So, and I have dated since then, and I've only had a couple serious relationships since then. But if I wanted, if I was gonna settle, I probably could have been married 3, 4, 5 times by now, you know, because, if I was just trying to jump into something new. But that's not me. So, healing isn't about finding somebody new, about jumping into something new. And it ain't about proving that you're healed when you just jump into something one after another. Sometimes healing means becoming comfortable with your own company, figuring out what's wrong with you. What am I contributing to? What are the contributing factors that I'm bringing that's causing the hiccups in the relationship? What are the problems that I'm having? What are the problems that I'm contributing to? I don't need another relationship to prove that I'm healed. You do not need another relationship to prove that you heal. Be comfortable in your own company. You jumping from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next, it's not proving that you healed. It's proving that you need validation, that you're seeking validation, that you're not comfortable with your own company. Sometimes you have to be in a place where you sick of you. And when you sick of you, then you ain't gonna want to be with you. You ain't gonna want to be with your no person or whatever. You're gonna have to deal with you. You're gonna have to deal with you, especially if you're dealing with healing after a heartbreak. Because at this point, it ain't about what the person did anymore. I don't even care about my ex and what he's done anymore. It's about what I learned from that and what I won't deal with anymore. Everything is about me. He don't get that power. He don't get that energy. So it won't be about that. It won't be about what he done or none of that. It doesn't change it. It doesn't change what has happened. But at the same time, what I've learned from it, the lessons that I pull from it, it gives me the power to say what I won't deal with anymore, the boundaries that I've established now from it, the person that I become from it, the person, the person that, my husband's gonna get from that. Those are the benefits, the benefactors. The time that I've allowed getting comfortable in my own company, not running to somebody else, not trying to find somebody new, not looking for validation. Because I'm only seeking validation in God, because He created me. He the only one can fix me, not nobody else. Not nobody else. So I don't need another relationship to prove that I'm healed. So that's how we solve one, healing after heartbreak. So celibacy and self-worth. So this is important because these are some nuggets that we need to know. So here's another question for you. Do we sometimes use sex to feel chosen? And this is probably an ouch question for a lot of people, because if you really think about it, a lot of people probably, don't want to answer this question truthfully and honestly. Do we sometimes use sex to feel chosen? Because there's a difference between I desire you and I need you to desire me so I can feel valuable. Those are two completely different places emotionally. And when you understand your worth, you stop asking. You stop asking, how do I get people to choose me? You don't ask that when you know your worth. When you know your worth, you're not going to ask people to choose you. And then, does this person deserve access to me? You're not going to be asking that when you know your worth. Those are conversations that you're having with yourself. And when you understand your worth, you stop asking that. There is a difference between I desire you and I need you to desire me so I can feel valuable. Two completely different places emotionally. So, boundaries. This is important because this is one of the things, especially during my therapy sessions, that I am one of the things that I'm most proud about is boundaries, because I think that's where I was very relaxed at, is boundaries. And not because I was a softie or because I didn't apply rules or whatever the case may be. I think because I was so in tune with when you're so in tune with trying to make something work, and you can be caught off guard with a whole lot of things, and boundaries are crossed all the time. So, but having the opportunity to go through this time, having this time to myself, having this healing time, this therapy time, having this celibacy time and abstinence time, celibacy can also teach you something incredibly important about boundaries. And that's because when you decide that you will and will not accept everybody, and everybody doesn't have access to you anymore, and how you're not going to be entertaining all the what you doing texts, hey you, or you know what you doing tonight, why you acting different, all those different everybody don't have them, good morning, kind of thing, because you're not no longer operating from that place. So, boundaries have been established. Anytime that I see something, even if it's in my DM or anything like that, that somebody is saying something along those lines with those kind of messages or whatever, immediately blocked or left on red. I'm not gonna, because if the kind of person that I am, and especially who I am becoming, if you can't approach me, whether it's physically or via, social media, in a manner that um, is beyond, hey you, or you know how you doing, or whatever, more than one sentence or whatever, save it. Don't even do it. I'm gonna tell you right now, don't even type it, because you're going to be left on red or blocked. Because at the end of the day, I've already set those boundaries. I'm not entertaining that. Everybody doesn't get access to me anymore, because I have decided that. It might have been decided based off previous situations and people. However, I can't, I apologize that to future people, but at the end of the day, the boundaries are there. They're already established. So I'm not entertaining those. You up, you want to come over, what you doing? Nah. So, what does this relationship actually add to my life? So, when you are in a situation and you're not sure um, what the relationship adds to a life, remove the sex. Remove the sex, remove the intimacy, and ask your question. Ask that question. What does this relationship actually add to my life? Without the intimacy, without the sex. What can I get from this person? What is this person contributing to my life? What can I get from this person outside of intimacy and the physical? What does this relationship actually add to my life? And you have, and especially if you're dating somebody with the intentions of commitment and marriage, you got to ask those kind of questions. What does this relationship add to my life? And especially if you're a person who's already kind of established or already established, what does it add to my life? What can I get from this person? And that makes it even harder because I can take myself on a trip. I can take myself to dinner. I need substance. All that stuff. Your money is not going to impress me. All that stuff is not going to impress me. I need substance. I need to know who you are, what you like inside, what you really like, what you like behind closed doors, what you like when nobody's watching, what you like when stuff hit the fan, when the rubber hits the road. That's what I need to know. When one of us gets sick, I need to know what you like. So, what can I get from this person, or what does this relationship actually add to my life? If you remove your intimacy and all that kind of stuff, what does that leave you? Think about that. And then if you can't answer that, you might want to try adding abstinence celibacy to give you some clarity. So, and let's be honest, celibacy will have you looking at some of these dating situations like, so that's what you're interested in me, you know, because when sex is removed from the equation, sometimes you discover very quickly whether there was actually a connection there at all, or whether the connection was simple inconvenience. Like, gosh, what do we even have in common outside of that? So that's what you have to ask yourself. So the hard part is, and we're gonna keep it real, celibacy isn't easy. I'll be lying to y'all if I'll be lying to y'all if I say it was easy. There are moments when you are lonely. There are moments when you miss intimacy. I say it all the time to Brownie. I'll be having talks with Brownie all the time. Brownie, I sure wish you can massage your grandma feet. Or I'll be telling him, Brandon, I can't wait to get you a papa so he can take you on walks because I'm tired and I want to take you out for a walk today. Or I can't wait to get you a papa so he can rub your grandma's feet. There are moments when you miss intimacy or you just want to sit on the sofa and have those moments, because I've had those moments before. But now, because I've established those boundaries, I don't want those moments with anybody. I want that moment with my husband. That's the next time I have those moments, it's gonna be with my husband. It ain't finna be with no low blow anybody, Billy Joe. It ain't gonna be with no anybody, lottie dottie everybody. No, because the latter part of my life, I'm at 50. So the latter part of my life needs to be the better part of my life. This season of my life, I ain't playing no games. Like, I don't know how much life I have left of me. So I'm not wasting time and I'm not playing any games. And so I need to make sure that every judgment call that I make pertaining to my life, who has access to me, who's connected to me, who has my time, energy, and all that space, all that they are people who are worthy of that. And so I need to have the clarity to make those decisions. So I don't need nothing clouding my judgment. So that's why I made that decision when I started my healing journey. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, yeah, I don't have to turn down some good jokers, some real good jokers. But I knew what they was about. Some nice one in suits at work, smelt good, looked good in their suits and everything. But I knew what it was about. So there are moments when you want somebody to hold you. There are going to be moments when you want to feel, want to feel affection. And there are going to be moments when your flesh says, whew, girl, just call him. Or dude, just send her the message. But discipline isn't proven when something is easy. Discipline is proven when something is tempting and hard. The Bible tells us, when we are tempted, that God would give us a way of escape because he already knows it's going to be hard. That's how discipline is won, when we are tempted in the hard moments and we can escape it. But when you fall to temptation, and you fall in that discipline, moment, you don't gave in. You didn't even try. Discipline is proven when something is tempting and you decide, no, my boundary is set. I'm good. I got something worth losing, and I can't lose that. We got to be like worthy. We got to know that we're worthy first. And then we got to know whatever we're dealing with or whoever we're dealing with is worthy as well. So what are you building? This is my last little part. What are you building? This is the question I really want every woman that's listening on this podcast to ask. What are you building? Ask yourself that. What am I building this season? Because I'm in my building season, y'all. When I tell y'all I am so focused right now, the best thing my last relationship could have done was what it did. Because the woman that I have become is unstoppable. I mean, creating 2 businesses, establishing some other things in the works, competed at this national pageant, all these things, all this networking stuff that I'm doing. The best thing that could have happened will happen because I'm in this building stage. Call me Bob the Builder, Barbara the Builder, because I'm in a building stage. And sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes us going through things to catapult us to a place that we need to be. But I know it's all God. God was saying, I need you to be where I have purposed you to be. So what? That person missed a call. They missed a step. But you still are purposed to be where I need you to be. You still a purpose to be a wife. You still a purpose for ministry. You still a purpose for the things that I have called you to do and to be. And he is setting that stuff in place. Provisions is already there. So ain't nothing skipped a beat. Like they say, ain't no one monkey stop no show. So, what are you building? This is the question I really want every woman listening, to answer. What are you building during this season? Because celibacy shouldn't be about what you're not doing. It should be about what you're doing instead. Are you building your career? If you are, what got you focused? Where are you focused? Where your focus are? If you're not focused, what are your distractions? Where are you distracted at? If you're building your business, then, make sure that you got strategies in place, for every step of building that business. And then you got people mentoring you on the way. So that way, if you have any missteps or hiccups along the way, somebody there to help you. And then if there's obstacles along the way or whatever, or distractions along the way, there's accountability there. other business owners and people in business that can help you or whatever. You know, if you're building your finances, if you saying, hey, this year my goal is to save $5,000 or $10,000, or this year I'm working on my finances. I'm trying to increase my credit score. I'm trying to buy a home. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to put my child to college, or I got saved money because my kid is going to college next year. All those things. If you're setting those goals, what are you building this year? And you can't allow distractions and things that's going to cloud your judgment to take your focus off of that. And what about your relationship to yourself? What about your self-care, your mental health? You know, a lot of times we see the maintenance check, on our car when it's time for our oil change to come, or when the gas get low and it tells us, it's time for us to put gas in the car. But how often do we do a self check for our bodies when we know that we're tired, we're overworked, we don't have that work life balance. We're just working, working, working. We're not resting. We're not sleeping. We're not, taking time to give ourselves a mental health day, or, have a relaxed day, all this stuff. We're taking the kids here, there, and everywhere, but we're not making time for ourselves. And then what is what is your relationship with God? Are you making time to read your word, devotion, daily devotion, study time, talk to God? A lot of people see my pictures or my videos on it every day that I post, that I'm on the walking trail. That's my commune time with God. Sometimes I post videos and sometimes I don't. Because sometimes when he dealing with me, he dealing with me. And sometimes I can't share that. And the times I can share it is something he don't gave me to share. And if it's worth sharing, I'm gonna share it. But there's times that he's been dealing with me, that I can't share that. And I don't share it, you know. But you can trust and believe before my foot hits the floor, my relationship with God is always gonna be on point. Regardless of who I'm dealing with or whatever. Every relationship I've had, they know that I have a relationship with God. I might have gotten distracted along the way, but I always find my way back. So, your relationship with God, your confidence. Sometimes we fall off. A relationship get deterred, and we get betrayed, and we feel like we ain't worthy. Or somebody choose somebody over you, you feel like you ain't that girl. You're gonna always be that girl. You're gonna always be a queen, whether you have a king or not. You going through hormonal things or weight gain or whatever, dress, still dress up. Dress to your part, dress to your body. It don't mean that you got to dress, differently just because you don't have a size 4, 5, 6 body. You can still dress nice. It does not matter. You got to be okay with you. Have the confidence is the best outfit you can wear. And one thing I love about my daughter, if you followed her during her weight loss journey before she had her weight loss surgery, she wore confidence. She wore confidence before she had that surgery. But baby, my baby 160 pounds down. And when I tell you the confidence she had before, it's times 10 now. So if you knew the confidence of Jada before her weight loss surgery and you see her now, baby, it's times 10. And that's the kind of confidence you got to have as a person. You got to know who you are. And if some of you are believers, you got to know who you are and whose you are. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Whether, somebody see it or not. I am a queen, whether somebody see it or not. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am beautiful. You got to say these things to yourself. It don't take somebody else to tell you that. I don't need no guy to tell me I'm beautiful. I don't need no guy to tell me I'm pretty. I don't need no guy to tell me I'm successful. I don't need a guy to tell me I'm fine, cute, all that kind of stuff. That we waiting on somebody to tell us that. Been that girl. my whole entire life. I always felt that way, you know, and people that know me knows that. And that's just, and I call it confidence. And people know me know that I've always posted that confidence because that's the confidence that I have that God has given me because I know who I am in Him. And then your education, sometimes we're not where we want to be. So we struggle with that. If you're not where you want to be, get with people to, keep you accountable. Do the things necessary to get you where you need to be. So you can get the jobs you need to be. You can get established where you need to be. I'm real big on that. So if you need help and need accountability for that, I'm your girl. I'm real big on that. Y'all see how my kids are. Y'all see how I've mentored and pushed my children. I would be more than willing to do that for you as well. So, reach out to me if you need that. And then your health. Health is wealth now. We talk about living, our best lives and all this kind of stuff, but we can't live our best lives if we're not healthy. Mental health is just as important as our physical health. So a lot of us come from, bloodlines and families that have histories of all that. The devil is a lie. I don't receive it. I don't receive it. I might have a family history of all these things, but I don't receive that for me. I just know what I need to do. So that's why you see me out walking every day. You see that I have to change I want to look, I've been eating candy today. That's why you see me with that green tongue. I've been eating candy today or whatever. So yeah, I have my fixes or whatever, but during the week, I'm eating healthy. I'm drinking my water and I'm exercising. And I'm probably going to have to do that for the rest of my life because I know the family history, medical history that I have. I'm going to always have to stay on top of my medical history and my checkups and all that kind of stuff. And I do that. That's why I keep medical insurance, all that kind of stuff, because that's important. We got to prioritize those things. And your legacy. Y'all already know how I feel about my kids. I always have. If you know me, you know what my world is. And that's Jada and Andre. There ain't no doubt about it. And whoever comes into my world and I attach to theirs, they're going to have to be the same way. They're going to have to be the same way about mine. And I'm going to have to be the same way about their children as vice versa. Do I love kids? Absolutely. I'm waiting to be a grandma now. So yeah, I love kids. My legacy is important because y'all see how I talk about being my mother's legacy, because my mother sacrificed so much for me and my sisters, for 5 girls, for us to do and be where we are today. So that's why everything I do, everything I have established in my life has been for my mother. A junior high education, left school to help take care of her family, and she got married early and started her family. Everything I do is for her because I knew she couldn't do it. So every business I establish is for my mother. Everything I do from this point on is for her. It's the legacy that she has established for me to be able to create. And now I'm creating it for my kids. So your legacy, what are you building? I am her legacy. Jada and Andre is mine. So now I'm establishing things for them and their children. So Legacy Consultant Group is for my grandkids. I established that for my grandkids. Country Confessions is for my grandkids. So all that stuff that's being created now, my nonprofit, all that stuff is for my grandkids. Jada and Andre, they're going to probably benefit from that because they're going to be overseers. But that's for my grandkids. That's legacy. That's legacy. Because if you're going to say something, you got to make sure you're saying yes to something that's great or greater. You got to make sure you're saying yes to something that's great or greater. So that's when you're building something, say yes to something that's great or greater. So I know the hour goes by so fast. I'm going to give you a sentence to finish and we're going to close out. So, because this is a lot and it's deep, and I want it to be deep because I want you guys to think about this. Because a lot of times we come in contact with people that we give our time and energy and different things to, but we don't realize the impact that it have on us. It can be a negative impact, it can be a positive impact, but who you give yourself to impacts your life entirely, energetically, you know, spiritually, everything, physically, health wise, everything. And so we have to make sure we are doing what is best for us. So, however you choose, no judgment here, that's on you. But my choice became I needed to do what's best for me. I got tired of repenting, because I'm back at square one, God. So I'm tired of repenting. I'm not going to repent again, because the next time I find myself back in this place, it's going to be with my husband, and I'm not going to have to repent because this person's going to be with me to the day you take me on to glory. So, I am at that space right now. So that's the commitment I made to myself. So I'm going to give you a sentence to finish. Because I choose myself, I now, and this is you, you fill in. So because I choose myself, I now what? So maybe you can say, I now stop settling. I now, set up boundaries. I start traveling and put myself first. I start healing. I start my business. Whatever the case may be, you fill in the blank, because I need you to start having clarity about what is best for you. Put you first and start making the decision about what's best for you. I am going to give you that sentence to finish. Because I chose myself, I now choose whatever. I now stop settling. I now set up boundaries. So mine is, because I chose myself, I now no longer give benefit of the doubt, and I no longer paint red flags white. So at the end of the day, when you approach me, especially with the potential of trying to pursue me in a dating capacity, you better come with your strong game. and you better come with it, because at the end of the day, my boundary game is strong. And I'm not being lenient with the access and who I give access to me. I'm no longer doing that. So, and you got to be that serious about yourself, especially when you've gone through stuff. You got to be that serious about yourself, because I'm at an age and stage in my life. Look, I got more time, behind me than I have ahead of me. So I don't have time to waste. The message today at church was talking about the redemption of time. The only time that I can get back is the time that I give God, and he can give me that time back. So that's why I'm giving him this time now. So that way, when I decide, when I align with the person that God has given me to be my spouse, he's going to redeem that time. He's going to redeem that time for me. I believe that. So whatever your answer is, it's going to be worth celebrating. So wherever you decide to fill in the blank with, whether it's stop settling, saving money, traveling, setting boundaries, it's going to be worth celebrating, and you need to celebrate that. So it has been a full hour of a whole deep discussion, but celibacy, and I want you to ask yourself these questions this week. Is celibacy empowering or restrictive? Can you date while practicing celibacy? You sure can, because I told you that. Should you tell the person you're dating that you're celibate? Absolutely, because you're setting boundaries. Can celibacy help you identify your relationship patterns? It can. It definitely give you clarity. It shows you, a lot of times it shows you the patterns of other people that you've chosen, but it also shows you, why am I choosing these people? Why Why am I loving people like this? Why am I trying to rehabilitate hurt people? Why I'm trying to rehabilitate abandoned people? So, those are the things that, it's going to help you to see. Is physical chemistry enough to sustain a relationship? Absolutely not. I can answer that. That's my answer. Would you practice celibacy after heartbreak? Y'all already know I said I did. So I'm doing that now. So, and here's the big one. Could you go 6 months without sex and actually enjoy discovering yourself? There are, look, y'all see it in the flesh. So your girl is doing it. I continue to do it. Look, and I don't have no problems with it. Because I know it's gonna reap a big reward. It's gonna reap the benefits. I am believing God because He knows the desires of my heart, and He's gonna honor that commitment that I have made. And because He's gonna honor that commitment, I'm like, look, God is gonna bless, baby. I'm speaking that. God is gonna bless. So could you go 6 months without sex and actually enjoy discovering yourself? I love who I'm becoming. Look, I thought I was a bad mama jamma before, but baby, honey, look, my husband he about to have a show enough blessing. When I say he about to have a show enough blessing, he about to have a show enough blessing. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. So here's what I want you to take away from today's conversation. Your body is yours. Your choice is yours. Your healing is yours. Your boundaries is also yours. And you don't owe anybody access to you just because they desire you. Celibacy doesn't make you valuable. Being sexually active doesn't make you less valuable. Your value was never determined by your sexual availability. You were valuable before anybody touched you. Let me say that again. You were valuable before anybody touched you. Before any man says you're beautiful, you're beautiful. Before any man touches you, you are valuable before that. That's why I tell you, I'm a queen, but if I have a king or not. I was successful before I had a man. I'm a great mom without a husband in the house. So all these things does not, having a partner or having a sexual partner doesn't depict and validate who you are as a woman or depict who you are as a man, having a woman or whatever, vice versa. You were valuable before anybody touched you. You were valuable before anybody loved you. You were valuable before anybody chose you. And you will remain valuable whether you're single, dating, married, divorced, celibate, or somewhere in between. Remember that. So say this with me, our final affirmation. I choose me. I choose my peace. I choose my purpose. I honor I honor my boundaries. I don't chase validation. I don't give access where there isn't alignment. Ooh, yeah, I have said it every day. And I trust myself enough to wait for what is worthy of me. Look, this is important for me because when I read that, it almost made me cry because I trust myself enough to wait for what is worthy of me. And I said, God, I know what you said to me before, and I thought it was confirmed. But God says you did not get it wrong because somebody else alignment was not, they did not get the alignment right. You did not get it wrong, but does not mean you're not going to get blessed. You stay the course. So I trust myself enough to wait for what is worthy of me. I remember our church in Alabama, and I've got this sticky somewhere. I think it's in my nightstand drawer. Apostle at my church gave me a sticky, and he told me, he said, God said the wait will be worth it. The husband that he is sending to you, the wait will be worth it. And he wrote it on a yellow sticky. And he said, he needs you to trust him and wait. The wait will be worth it. And so when I read that and it says, I trust myself enough to wait for what is worthy of me. Because I know who I am. I know who I am. I know what I bring. I know who I am in God. I know what God has shown me and told me. So I trust myself enough to wait for what is worthy of me. I'm not going to try to jump the gun. I'm not trying to get ahead of God or whatever. One of my recent friends told me before, God don't miss, and he doesn't. So because this season isn't about what I'm missing, it's about what I'm becoming. And as I continue this journey, I am excited about what God is doing and what I'm becoming. So this has been another episode of Chit Chat Podcast, where we create her inner courage to have these important conversations like this in this matter. If today's conversation touched you, challenged you, or made you look at your own choices differently, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody, or share it, go back and relook at it and take some notes and question yourself about some of the things that you probably need to reevaluate for yourself. Drop your thoughts in the comments if you have comments after the podcast, and let me know what you think. What does the choosing yourself look like in this season of your life? What does that look like for you? Because it's important for you to choose you. I've chose me and I'm loving it. And when y'all see me on these trips and doing things and doing me and taking myself out on dates and all that kind of stuff, I'm loving it. I am loving it. Kids are grown, just me and the grand dog. So, I'm loving it. So until next time, Chit Chat Podcast, protect your peace, honor your worth, walk boldly in your purpose, and most importantly, choose you. Choose you and celebrate celibacy if that's the phase and season and stage of life you're in. So I will talk to you next week and see you next week. You guys have a blessed week, and then continue to encourage each other as we continue this 2026 year strong. I'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.